Good afternoon from the El Paso Area National Weather Service office in Santa Teresa, New Mexico. This is a weather briefing for a high wind and blowing dust event expected to impact the area on Saturday, April 26th. This briefing was prepared the afternoon of April 25th. I'm Mike Hardiman, a forecaster at the National Weather Service. So what are we expecting tomorrow? Well, we're expecting very strong southwest winds. They'll start relatively early in the Sacramento Mountains, and then starting late in the morning just about everywhere else. The peak of the winds will be between 3 p.m. and 7 p.m. Sustained winds of 30 to 40 miles per hour with gusts 50 to 60 miles per hour are expected over a broad area. And if you live in East Slope areas, including northeast El Paso, you can expect wind gusts of 65 miles per hour or even greater. The wind should diminish after dark except for those East Slope areas, including northeast El Paso. And despite the rain that we had last week, we're still expecting a lot of blowing dust. Also, the fire danger remains high, and a red flag warning is in effect for most of the area. And to make matters worse, we're expecting a few isolated thunderstorms in the Gila region of southwestern New Mexico, and that could lead to lightning-started fires. Here's a look at the warnings and advisories in effect for the area. In blue, we have a wind advisory, and in orange, we have a high wind warning. The high wind warning is in effect from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. for the Sacramento Mountains. For your East Slope areas, it's in effect from 11 a.m. Saturday until 6 a.m. Sunday. And for the remainder of the area, the advisory or warning is in effect from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. A blowing dust advisory is also in effect for most of the lowland desert locations. With southwest winds blowing through the area, we'll pick up plenty of dust from our usual source regions in northern Chihuahua and also parts of southwestern New Mexico, and that'll bring the dust plumes into El Paso and Las Cruces areas. So what about the weather scenario creating this? Well, we have a rather deep trough with an embedded upper-level low-pressure system that's moving into northern California this afternoon. This will move into southern Nevada by tomorrow morning and on to the Four Corners by Saturday afternoon. It'll then hook a left and head to the north and reach the Colorado-Nebraska border by Sunday morning. Early Saturday morning, we're already expecting 50-plus mile-per-hour winds up at around the 9,000-foot level. That's one of the reasons why we have the high wind warning going into effect much earlier for the Sacramento Mountains. By Saturday evening, our low-pressure area will be moving into the Four Corners region, and we'll have a very broad area of 70-plus mile-per-hour winds aloft by early Saturday evening. Some of that momentum will transfer down to the ground in the form of very strong wind gusts. Also by Saturday evening, notice a very strong low-pressure area in northeastern Colorado and a very tight surface pressure gradient across the state of New Mexico, which will further help enhance the strong winds expected. Also, you'll notice that we have a little bit of moisture coming into far western New Mexico. Most of the moisture with this system will be wrung out over the mountains of northern Arizona, but we will have some leftovers scraping by the Gila region, and with a little bit of instability present, we're expecting some isolated thunderstorms. The thunderstorms won't produce much rainfall, so any lightning strikes they produce could result in fires starting. By 3 a.m. Sunday, our winds aloft will still be quite strong at 70-plus miles per hour across pretty much the whole area. However, the winds at the surface will weaken over most areas except for areas immediately downstream of mountain ranges, or in this case on the East Slope locations, including locations like White Sands Mesa Range and northeast El Paso. And in those areas, we're expecting the winds will last pretty much through the night. So here's a quick summary of our expected impacts. The most noticeable will be strong and possibly damaging winds, with wind gusts of 60-plus miles per hour across most areas between 3 p.m. and 7 p.m. The worst winds will be east of area mountain ranges, where gusts could exceed 65 miles per hour. Blowing dust will also be quite noticeable, especially in lowland areas, with the worst conditions expected in Luna, Doña Ana, and El Paso counties between 3 p.m. and 7 p.m. Visibilities could drop to 1 mile or less in some of these areas. To help monitor the latest information, you can find us on Facebook, or follow us on Twitter at NWS El Paso, or you can go to our webpage at weather.gov/El Paso. Thanks for your time.